be a part of this team.
And you enjoyed it so much, you had 3 goes.
Yeah, that was a contingency that we had briefed. If we didn't get everything we needed on one supersonic run, then we briefed that we'd be able to turn around and do it again. So I don't think anyone in the control room was surprised. It wasn't exactly the plan, but we had it was a backup plan.
And Blake, this has been your brainchild. It's been your baby for the last 10 or more years. How does it feel to see this coming to fruition right now, right here?
It's a little surreal, if I'm being honest. I think it's still sinking in. There were so many days on the road to today where it wasn't obvious that we would get here, and here we are. And I just feel really proud, feel really grateful, and I feel really determined that we're going to keep doing this until supersonic flight's way less exciting because it's just the normal way we fly.
Geppetto, back to you. When I was in amongst the crowd just now, one of the people out there asked me, how does it feel to fly supersonic? So how does it feel to fly supersonically 3 times in one go?
Well, it's always exciting. There's something special about going faster than the speed of sound. I'm sure you remember your first time going supersonic, right? It was probably in an airplane that had done it before. Yeah, so so was mine. But I remember that feeling like as I was getting ready to push the throttles up for the first time in an F-18 Super Hornet, and like it felt like I was climbing up a roller coaster. Like I know I'm going to be okay. Like my brain knows I'm going to be okay, but am I really going to be okay? Is everything really going to be okay? So push the throttles up, and then you see the Mach number finally tick over to Mach 1, and you're like, well, is that it? Is that really all there is to it? Today was a little bit different than that. This was the first time that the airplane had never done it before, and certainly our models and our data had indicated that it was going to be safe, it was going to be predictable, and it was going to be easy. But you don't really know until you push the throttles up and you go for it. Today I was pleasantly surprised that it was actually safe and easy and predictable. I'm sorry, I was not surprised that it was safe. There was no doubt in my mind that was going to be the case, but it was smooth, it was predictable, and it felt great.
If I remember what you said yesterday, you said you were more nervous about the press conference than the flight.
100%, yes.
Quite rightly. I was very jealous thinking of you flying the aircraft because it was absolutely fantastic. But to put it in context, I mean, we talk about the first supersonic flight of XB-1, but Geppetto is the first pilot ever to fly an independently developed civilian aircraft supersonically. This just has never happened before.
Well, thank you, Mike. If I could just point out that this isn't my milestone. This is the team's milestone. Like everyone at the company, Blake having the courage to actually make this happen, to put yourself out there and start a company with this seemingly impossible goal. But everyone from Jordan Rosas, who kept us fed and happy, and like Steve Graziano, who installed all the rivets. And especially even Doc Shoemaker, who built this incredible culture of safety and flight test. This is everyone's milestone. I was just lucky to be the one to push the throttles up.
I've been lucky enough to be close to Boom for some time now. One thing that strikes me, Blake, is your ability to gather around you all the right people, the key real experts in every field. I mean, tell us something about that, how you do it, and how you've got this sensational team working for you and with you.
So if I think back to the earliest days of starting the company, I would tell people that I wanted to build a supersonic jet, and I could always tell the first question was, and people didn't always say it out loud, but the first question was always, are you crazy? And if I could convince people that the answer was just maybe no, then the next question was, how do I get involved and help? And I think the mission is what really makes this possible. The world needs supersonic flight. Passengers deserve it. Airlines need an alternative that's better. America needs to build the next generation of airplanes. And the significance of the mission is what causes great people to come and be part of this. whether it's the Geppetto and Doc, who flew the airplane for the first time, to the engineers that designed it, the technicians that put it together, the investors that did what their peers said was crazy and backed us, to the airlines like United, who put a deposit down before we'd even flown XB-1, and American and Japan Airlines, who was the first airline to back us. And why? It's because everybody wants supersonic flight. And it's not easy, but it is possible. And if we gather just the very best people in the world, we can do it.
And of course, there have been so many naysayers who say it can't be done. But you guys have proved, and your team have proved today, that it can be done. So, Geppetto, when you're flying the airplane, how much goes through your mind about how this really is a step forward to the future, to the next big step forward with Overture? Is this part of your consideration?
While I'm flying the airplane, certainly not. This is flight test. You know, there's too much going on. I'm just very focused on what the airplane is telling me, working with the control room. Like, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Managing the fuel, managing the airspace, and just making sure that we have a successful event. None of that's going through my head during while we're flying.
But after you fly, after you've flown, I guess you think about it. We were talking earlier on the broadcast about this is not the last flight of XB-1. What are the plans for the next flight, Geppetto?
Well, we're planning on flying it one more time, and the next flight obviously will be supersonic. And we're working with NASA on something that I'm pretty excited about, which should hopefully produce some pretty exciting imagery.
And Blake, the next steps for Boom Supersonic. Tell us a little bit more about Overture in the detail and Symphony, the engine.
Yeah, well, it's what we have that's so special in XB-1 is a supersonic jet made out of airliner technology. And I think one of the things that surprises people the most is we really didn't invent anything. This is really 20-year-old 787 level technology deployed in service of a different goal. And we started out with kind of a sketch of Overture. We didn't even know it was called Overture yet. And the one thing we knew for certain is we didn't have it quite right, and we didn't know everything we needed to know to pull it off. So we shrank down to 1/3 scale, and we said, let's go build design, build, fly, and learn, and then take all those learnings and turn our attention back to the big airplane that we all get to fly on, and that's what Overture is. And so after next week's final flight of XB-1, our attention goes back on that Overture airplane, and so we will be advancing that. You know, where we are today, it's just about time to quote unquote break the engineer's pencils, meaning we have a design that accomplishes what we need to accomplish, and it's ready, we're going to go take it into production. So the next things we get to look forward to, the Symphony engine, and that's our engine that powers Overture. It is the first purpose-built engine for civilian supersonic flight. Concorde, of course, had a military engine that was sort of adapted. This is brand new engine, not a brand new kind of engine, but a brand new engine. The first prototype of that will run later this year, and we're about 18 months away from starting to physically build the first Overture. And our goal is to roll it off the line in about 3 years and put it in the skies in about 4.
Fantastic. It's in the skies in about 4 years, ladies and gentlemen, to see a wonderful Symphony aircraft taking to the skies. And Geppetto, are you looking forward to that moment?
Yeah, very much. Like, XB-1 was the proof that we could do it. We've proven we can do it, but this doesn't change anyone's life. The Overture is going to make the world more accessible. It's going to make connections that wouldn't otherwise be possible. And so that's what I'm really excited about, and getting that aircraft into service so we can achieve our ultimate goal of making the world dramatically more accessible.
Let's get back to talking pilot things. I mean, put your mind back to flying the airplane today. You've got a lot of experience. Tell us about XB-1 compared to the other aircraft that you've flown.
I think maybe the best way to explain this to some of my Navy buddies is this is the closest thing to flying off the boat that there is to flying off the boat. And what I mean by that is once it gets off the ground, it's easy. It's getting it back on the ground that's the challenge. So once I took off, you know, I'm kind of in my happy place. And when she was supersonic, that was the smoothest, like, best flying that she's flown yet. Like, supersonic flight was really her happy place. She really liked it there, and it was a real dream to fly XB-1 Supersonic. Landing is always a bit of a challenge, and today was no exception. Landing off the forward-looking vision system or our augmented reality system, something I practice a lot in the simulator, and I'm grateful to Zach Pleiss, Wingnut, and Charles Wickware, Zach Pleiss, Sprite, and Charles Wickware, Wingnut, as our landing signal officers who help me get back on ground every single time safely.
Well, we could see from the outside, and you got it absolutely on the numbers, in right the place, right time, bang on the center line. So what a great job for you and all those around you. Blake, you touched on the future. There have been a lot of naysayers about the future of supersonic aircraft, and yet you're convincing people that it's doable, and you're convincing people that it will happen, and you've got now this demonstration of your capability. How do you continue to convince people that this is the future?
We just need to keep doing it. You know, there's always going to be naysayers, and but they don't make the future. We get to choose to do that, and I think that the history of flight is just such a poignant example of how that really works. You know, of course, the first airplane was built by bicycle entrepreneurs. Who, in no way, shape, or form were the favored team or had the resume to do this. And and shortly before they did, the naysayers were saying it'd be a million years before we ever had an airplane. But they pulled it off, and then we had a half a century of just really steady progress and speed. We had Concorde, and then we kind of lost our way. And the future, the future is not automatically better. Somebody has to make it better. And I think, and that's why I'm grateful for the opportunity, for the team, for the support. And success is absolutely not guaranteed. Overture is very, very much harder than what we flew today. And it will not be a straight line path from here to success. There'll be twists and turns, there'll be setbacks. It's virtually guaranteed. But the important thing is not giving up. And maybe one day we'll have a skeptics flight across the Atlantic.
And would you like to compare for us your philosophy within Boom Supersonic about how to go about building exciting airplanes compared to the legacy major aircraft manufacturers that are out there right now? Do you do it the same way, or do you do it differently?
We think we should do it faster and better. In the 40s, 50s, 60s, airplanes were developed very, very rapidly compared to what they are today. And yet today we have better technology and better tools than ever before. And yet the safety bar has come way up. And I think it's our job to figure out how to move fast while also staying safe. And we've learned a lot on the XB-1 program about how to do that. About how to build a culture of safety, but also what other things go into the process that cause us to be slow or enable us to move fast. And it's easy to look at XB-1 and see a beautiful airplane. I look at it and I see a lot of lessons learned, not just the technology of the airplane, but how we went about it. And I believe small, mighty, vertically integrated teams can do things that the big guys wouldn't even attempt. And that's our future.
We're coming towards the end of our Q&A, so I'm going to ask the same question of both of you. I'll ask you to answer it in turn, not together. For the people here, and there's a wonderful crowd here of great supporters who've been really enthusiastic, and the people all over the world that are watching on live stream, what one memory would you like them to take away from today? Geppetto.
I'm sorry, I need a second to think about that. Maybe.
Okay, Blake.
Oh, I was really glad you asked him first. I don't know if it's about today exactly for me. It's been 10 years to get here, and if there's any one thing I could just share with the world, it would be to work on the biggest, most important things you can always work on, and whatever you do, don't give up. And if you do that, then you get to have days like today.
Thanks. Geppetto?
I think that what I will remember and what I hope other people take away from this is that what a small team of really dedicated people can make happen.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, Geppetto and Blake.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us, those who are here, and for those that have joined us on live stream to witness the first American civil supersonic jet break the sound barrier and the first civilian independently produced jet ever to go faster than the speed of sound. Ladies and gentlemen, Boom Supersonic and the XB-1. We signed out of our live webcast.